Oh baby, here we go people. Outward's Three Brothers DLC is a hellscape of pure depression. Sounds bad, I know, but what are you expecting when you stumble upon a coup d'etat while standing in between three live volcanoes that are going to obliterate the entire region within a few months? This DLC's main focus is actual gameplay, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. My main man, Raphael. Look at him. Look at him. This dude's hot. No, that's not actually him, but what if it was, though? This man gave me a very insightful comment on one of my posts that really just pointed me in the right direction on getting a grip with this DLC. Now, even with all this information, right, we still have to consider the consistency of 9 Studios. AKA, what does this game want to be? What does Outward want to become in the future? Does it want to be an epic adventure with a good story to tell? Or does it want to be a combative experience on the lines of Dark Souls where it takes a back seat with the storyline and the gameplay and difficulty offer more of a reward than any good story? To be honest, I have no idea what the hell they're doing over there, but this DLC is hit or miss depending on who you are as a person. For me, as a reviewer and a longtime player of the game, I've taken it upon myself to immerse myself in all aspects of the game, which means reading all the dialogue, trying to understand the storyline, trying to get grip on mechanics, new weapons, armor, stuff like that. Just things that are normal that I should know about given what I'm trying to do on the channel here. So I see things in a bit more of a, not necessarily narrow mind, but just my focus is immersing myself in a lot of areas and not really seeing the key points from a person that is only focused on maybe one area. So while I'm out here basically playing the entirety of the game and trying to understand every nook and cranny, some other players could give a rat's ass about all of that and just want to blow shit up big boy style. In comparison to the Soroborian storyline though, it is more of a gameplay focus, and the backseat storyline is really just there as something to read along just your adventuring through Shirako. It's a weird sense given that you just came from a pretty, and I'm gonna say this, it's a pretty good story. I really liked Soroborians. I hated the gameplay of it, but the story was actually really good. Now, with that being said, it's, you know, a good and a bad thing. And the good is basically a refreshing experience for longtime players with an abundance of content and build options, not to mention the ramped up difficulty with new mobs really take it further for gameplay focused players. However, I did actually get immersed with the Soroborians DLC when it comes to the story, and you know, when I tried to give a shit about this one, you know, it wasn't really that great. Although I will say, when it comes to the Soroborians, I tried to give a shit about not committing mass genocide and war crimes, but I got really lazy and I ended up having to murder everybody, so it is what it is. But just the amount of options and dialogue that was present in the Soroborians sort of just decimate the entirety of Three Brothers in a side-by-side comparison. But the Three Brothers is a simplified experience where you don't have to walk around for 6 eons trying to find magic fucking train keys in a hidden obscure dungeon in a hidden obscure location. You got 2 things to do with this DLC. One is go to a dungeon, grab, kill, or talk to someone, then travel back to Shirako, and then bop it a boopy, build some shit. That's pretty much it. That is the DLC in a nutshell, and I much prefer this over an inflated questline with obscure objectives that will take eons just to complete. To echo some sentiments I had with my first impressions, the new enemies are a breath of fresh air. Seeing no reused assets in this DLC when it comes to mobs was exactly my main complaint from the Soroborians. It seems they have realized this and took it to the next level and added a whole new experience of enemies. The world, however, is empty for the most part, and the downtime between traveling between dungeons and going back to Old Shirako, New Shirako, blah blah blah, all these other places, it is very boring, and half the time I'm not even paying attention to the open world, so it's like, why even do this? Just put in travel options. Just do it. Just put like markers, like 1 to 2 markers on each side of the map, or even one in the center, and then you can just travel to any of the main, like, you know, camp cities, whatevers, or just the town. I don't care. Just stop making me walk from one side of the map to the other. It's too much, it's boring, and I hate it. Or give me a damn horse. I don't care. Just stop making me walk 70,000 miles with nothing to look at. Even with the new enemy designs, they still are rather small occurrences in the open world that can be dealt with in a few seconds. At this point, it doesn't really matter. The new weapons and armor are also a nice step up as well, not just from a design standpoint, minus this ugly nonsense right here, but how you can obtain these new weapons are rather challenging and require some thought, and I really mean that shit. There are hardly no fucking guides on this shit whatsoever, so you're kind of on your own. Shit, even the wiki is bone dry. I've been checking that stuff every day, and there is hardly anything about the three brothers. So, they slacking. Closing this video out, I'll say with this change of pace, I think consistency is very important right now, and they are kind of bouncing between gameplay and storytelling while trying to balance a survival experience. And in some areas, they're succeeding, and in some other areas, they fall a bit short. This DLC was a step in the right direction from a gameplay standpoint, but a step backwards in the storytelling area. I think they may be trying to feel out how we react as a community to gameplay or storytelling, like what do we want more from them. I feel like gameplay is probably what they're better at. Storytelling, I feel it's hard to do with emotion, like just no emotion in faces. There's no cutscenes. It's really hard to tell a riveting story without something like that, in my personal opinion, at least for me. I know things like Undertale and stuff like that, you know, they have a riveting story, but you just, me as a person, I can't get into something like that. I prefer to see emotion in people's faces, you know, great storytelling, build up character development, stuff like that. There's a lot going on with that. So either which way, I think they're feeling it out, and they're doing a good job at it, using the DLC as a testing ground for a very, very small studio that is producing better than AAA titles at the moment. I think they're doing great. So I give this DLC a solid 8.5. It is pretty damn good and a step up from the Soroborians. The gameplay is far more responsive in my opinion. I think the ramped up difficulty gives it longevity, replayability, not to mention there's a lot to uncover and discover with this world. It's better all around. It's really better. The story may suck, but who gives a shit? Until they deliver a riveting story, I feel like there's no reason to count story against them in a heavy way. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, considering that it's never been their focal point in my personal opinion. And there you have it, boys. The DLC review for the Three Brothers. It's a pretty damn good DLC and a step up in the right direction. We will be doing some more Outward stuff. I have a couple challenges in mind that I kind of want to attempt. Maybe looking at some modding in the future. I'm kind of experimenting. Even as we speak, I'm experimenting. I got a couple ideas. We'll see what's going on, but that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.